like Shrek without a donkey. From Ohio to Zimbabwe. For Harambe. He's the fist to Abercrombie. He's like Shrek without a donkey. From Ohio to Zimbabwe. For Harambe.
What's up, guys? Welcome to the Deviant Gentlemen podcast. My name is Shane Vitko, alongside my co-host, Mr. Tommy Vext.
What's up, everybody? It's your favorite Uncle Tommy.
Man, what a show, dude. We have the members, or some of all, or maybe, of Hard to Kill Fitness. So we have Matt, who is at the Operational Athlete. Say hello, young sir.
Hey, what's up, guys?
That's Matt. We have Aaron, who is at Mox Actual.
Not Mark. How you guys doing?
Is it not Mox?
No, it is. Literally everyone thinks my name is Mark.
I did for a long time until I met you.
Jesus.
I was like, yeah, I can't wait to meet Mark. Anyways, and then we got Thomas, who is at Tango Alpha Zero. I'm
that's a
assuming?
zero.
All right,
Yeah,
sick, dude.
that's a zero.
Good to see you, man.
Hey, good seeing you, dude.
Yeah. So the way this kind of came about was, me and Thomas started talking on Instagram and connected, and one thing led to another, and fucking here we are. So tell me a little bit about Matt. Tell me about what is Hard to Kill Fitness.
So Hard to Kill Fitness, it's a community and it's programming. So it started in like 2017, and what we did is try to bring this community, this brotherhood these guys had when they were in the service, and bring that to the public. Because when guys get out, I'm sure we all know, when you get out, you kind of lose that community, you lose that brotherhood. Then, mental health kicks in, stuff like that. So we have this brotherhood, this Facebook page, this following where we're all one and the same. We take care of each other. We look after each other. We train together. And then with the programming, it's just getting guys in shape to join the military or keeping them in that same mental, physical status, because you can't be physically strong without being mentally strong, bottom line.
Mm-hmm. So you guys put out workouts, right? That's you go to Hard to Kill, and then it's like, here's some different workouts, some weight-based, some body weight-based, running, all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, everything. We got weight-based, we got endurance-based, we got body weight, all that. And what's good about it is it's easy to follow. There's some of these guys put out programs out there that are way too fucking scientific, like where you read one page, you're like, I'm just going to do this part. Like when you get on our programming, it's just, you're stoked. Like everything and the results, I mean, Aaron can vouch, all the guys we've talked to, every guy we send to like SWAT school, every guy we send to special forces, basic training, police academies, they come out like on top. Yep. So it works.
And now, how did you guys all link up? So this is shout out to Rory. This is Rory's company, and you've become kind of the face of it, or you put forth. You set the bar really for what Hard to Kill Fitness looks like, in my opinion. So now, how do you link up with these guys?
So Rory reached out to both of us, I think early 2018, right?
Yeah, so he invited me on board 2018 in February. Yeah, so I was deployed at the time, and he did a...
and you were Marine Corps?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep, so he did a challenge. It was like a 225 challenge, whatever, that he had out. And everyone, like, submitted their, like, videos, and I did it for, like, 38 reps. And he was like, I need you on board because I'm creating a strength team. And he was like, I want you to kind of, like, test this program out, see what it's like, and then, like, give me the feedback. And then from that point on, we kind of just, joined in, and it was history from there on out.
And then now, is this like flying you guys around and going to different places to record, or?
Yeah, we slowly started bringing that in. Bringing Aaron down here. I've had a chance to go to a couple places, but we got a lot of tricks under our sleeve right now that we're getting ready to launch out there. Some new programming at the end of the month, and then we should be flying out to a lot of cool places here soon.
Oh yeah.
And then what's your background too? Give me your military background.
So I was 15 years Army, 12 of those were Special Forces, Green Beret. 9 total deployments, 4 combat rotations, and it was good, man. Just being a good team guy, just having fun out there. Mm-hmm.
And you are currently a law enforcement officer also, right?
Yep. Yeah, out here, Los Angeles County.
Okay. All right, and then how's this fucking big mutant come into the play?
Well, they needed to be touched by an angel, so I hopped in. But no, so what's up, baby? What's going on? Big pop of the pump to come in, you know. But no, we hopped in. I started my podcast, got out. Matt and I linked up doing some stuff through a mutual friend of ours, and Matt and my episode was the first one on my podcast to hit 10K downloads. So we started working with Hard to Kill a little bit more, brought Aaron in for an episode that was really good, and I ended up getting sponsored by Hard to Kill. And so we were just basically bullshitting. We're like, hey, let's do a photo shoot together. And Matt was like, oh, I got one coming up. And we had originally planned to do one with Bravo Sierra, me, him, and Coach Bunny out in Tampa, Florida, Ben Bunn, and this one popped up, so I said, let's do it, man. So we got all of us together, came down here, they set everything up, and you got to be a part of that.
Yeah, man, it was great.
Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome.
How did he do?
He killed it, dude.
Yeah,
Straight up, like, no lie.
I was busy in the studio. I was working. I couldn't make it.
Not only did he kill it, dude, he has vertical.
Yeah,
you got to jump.
Yeah, we did that. Some young kids were in there training for baseball. This kid's like, I don't know, maybe 16, and from a standstill jumping, what was it, 43, 46 inches, like with no issue. And I was like, this motherfucker, I can do that. And we walk over there, and there's a bunch of grown men that all have fucking bad backs and shit. And I'm like, we got this. And we started box jumping and shit. But all right, so. The real thing is, like, I expect that everyone watch this and think, like, oh, here's fucking 5 tough guys and blah, blah, and talk about this and fucking girls. You know what the real thing is? Why is it so hard for alpha men to admit they have mental health issues and ask for help?
You want to hit it? Yeah, dude, you know, Matt and I did a whole episode on this, and I think the thing is that, you know, for me, this is how I view it, right, is that in the 50s, 60s, 70s, we kind of lost our way on what actual masculinity was, somewhere within, you know, however America was going. And so when we look back at it now, for me, I think it takes a lot more courage to say like, yo, I'm fucked up, than it is to pretend that I'm not. Everyone kind of has like a face that they wear, a mask that they wear, right? And it's embarrassing for a lot of people because you're raised like that to be like, hey, I need to fucking suppress this stuff and not talk about it. And so we just basically came in and we're like, hey, we grew up in this alpha male society where you don't talk about your issues, but what ends up happening is when you hit 30, 35, 40, all that bullshit starts hitting back, and that's why the biggest rate of suicide is, you know, middle-aged men. They get to like 40 years old and they're still mentally 19 years old, scared to death of their own fucking shadow, and they kill themselves. And so it's a huge issue.
Yeah, I mean, it's you know, I addressing suicide, like I'm an attempted suicide survivor. Same. And it's something that I talk about on stage, and it's whether, you know, it could be in front of 5,000 people or at a festival in front of 100,000 people. And I remember distinctly the first time that I felt like I needed to talk about it, you know. And
who'd you reach out to for that? Did you start with a therapist, a friend?
Well, I mean,
what was
that? The back end on that is a long story. You know, a lot of people know that. You know, and I've had suicidal thoughts my whole life, and you know, it culminated to a point after, you know, after I had to testify against my brother. There was a moment where like I kept muscling through this situation, and I pushed everything down and was in survival mode and didn't deal with any of the trauma, and and then once I was like in the clear, it took like over a year and a half, 2 years, and I was in a witness protection program because he hired somebody to kill me, so it was like nuts. And then when it was over, all my feelings hit me, and I was sober, and I didn't have any drinking, I had no drugs, and it was so overwhelming that I just wanted to check out. And what worked for me was, you know, my suicide attempt was interrupted by a kid who was calling me, who had just overdosed on heroin and was homeless and needed help. And I don't know why I answered the phone, but I was going to jump in front of a train, and the kid, he called me, and then I went to go help him. And so, you know, and now, and he's like my little brother now. He's like my family. And I think that I think it's important what you guys do, and this addressing of men need men. We need each other, you know, whether it's in recovery, whether it's PTSD, whether it's just like, there's just a lost art form of the hang. And I think a lot of the younger generation and even our generation, we got into either social media or video games and all these things that kind of separated us from our tribal necessities, and like what makes us strong. And, you know, the pendulum, like you were saying, there was so much like John Wayneism in the 50s, 60s, and 70s, and then in 2020, or even over the past probably 14 years, the pendulum has swung. I think a lot of it has to do with the 2016 election. I think the disappointment of the country, the people who assumed we were going to have a woman president, they felt slighted. Right. And then, Donald Trump's behavior and mannerisms and stuff, that made everyone hate men, and it became okay. And then you had the Me Too movement, where you had this big unilateral movement of like, all men are bad and all men are this and all that. And so we're not. And we're the protectors, and we're the ones who are supposed to stand in the line, and people like police officers are politically vilified and demonized for political agendas. And there's like a mass colluded movement against being a man.
I mean, can you think about right now, too, the kids go back to school this week and next week through Zoom. Do you remember how detrimental it was to get made fun of, to laugh, to go to the lunch hall, to figure things out? How do I talk to a girl? How do I become friends with these guys? What sports do I play? And everything is going to be Zoom interactive. That is so detrimental for child development. And like you talk about two extremes from like 50s, 60s, 70s of like, I'm a man, fucking drank, hit my wife, all this like Superman World War I shit, right, to now of like, I got to stay home and do it on Zoom, and where's my mask? And Mom, is it okay if, and can I? No, you can't go to Timmy's because you'll get fucking COVID. And I mean, it's going to be, going to be different, man.
It happens on both sides, It's like there's not. I was actually talking about this with a woman that I was dating, who is a very alpha female and very. She basically explained to me, she was like, men and women are not equal, right? Men are superior in certain areas, women are superior in other areas, and the deconstruction. This ideology that we should all be equal, it leaves all these spaces for the gaps that our relationships are not filling anymore, and that's why you have everyone hopping from relationship to relationship and dating 30,000 people at once, and and we've all done it because it's like, there's been a shift, and it's, for me personally, like I don't want to. And have somebody in my life who doesn't know their place and doesn't respect my place, and I don't know my place in theirs. Yeah, I'm not here to challenge somebody or be challenged. Together, our relationships were supposed, and it's that dynamic. Like, we're supposed to come together to move forward. The same thing with friends, and the same reason why women need their women. Like, it's a lot of girls like, oh, I have all these guy friends. I'm like, all right,
I think another thing too is, when it comes to the alpha men and how to ask for, I know for me personally, and people that have even reached out to me, how the hardest thing of it all is saying to another guy that looks like me, that thinks like me, that I respect in that aspect of that warrior code, and going, dude, I'm fucked up. I need help.
Yeah, I need help.
That's the hardest thing.
Yeah. It's the three most important words that anybody can say when they're in trouble. There's 6. There's I don't know and I need help. Yeah. We don't know how to say I don't know anymore. Everybody's supposed to just assume And it's it's that idea that we're supposed to just know, and that we're not. I mean, look at how we've been manipulated in this country to like hate each other and not be looking at who is manipulating us. Yep. Is because we're too arrogant to admit that something's going on. We don't know what it is, and it's probably not my neighbor, right?
Well, speaking of the arrogance part too, that's the thing too that's also hard for a lot of guys. Like saying, the I need help part, but like you can ask these two, man. I hype these dudes up all the time. I fuck with him all the time, man. I'll put him up on my story, man. Be like, I can't wait to bear hug this dude. Like, be jealous, Dudes, they find that stuff weird, man. Like, people are like, But so I just tell people, Aaron and I are dating.
But that's me and Tommy have talked about how that's other people's self-esteem and insecurities. Like,
100%.
Knowing what I do, and when I go into a room and tell people I'm here to do breath work and we're gonna fucking talk about some feelings and all that shit, but also like that doesn't mean if you want to go outside and see like what I'm about, we can always. That's always an option. But I don't want to do that. That's not what I'm here for. So when I can show other men, right, that it's like, that's my biggest worry, was that if I start getting emotional and cry and talk about things that bother me, I'm going to let my dad down. The guys in the military are going to know I was weak the whole time. Guys in prison, everywhere I've been, everyone's going to know what a fucking fraud I've been this whole time. And it's not that I was a fraud. It's that I was too afraid to deal with things that were going on with me. And when I realized that I could harbor and turn my masculinity into something for good, right? It's literally, it's two roads, right? It's the same thing with crime and going. I mean, every decision that I make today is two roads. When I leave here, I can either get in my car and blow through a red light or stop at it. I mean, all day is these two decisions, and we all went to the military, and then I could have been any one of you, and I took a fucking wrong turn somewhere and ended up in prison. You know what I'm saying? But now I was able to come out on the other side of that. So I think as guys in here, every one of us has dealt with suicide. We definitely know a handful of people that have committed suicide, be it from addiction or PTSD from the military.
Or both.
Or both. Yeah.
But yet here we sit, and each of us, and as I talked to you guys yesterday, I know that you guys have all struggled with your own thing, but yet here we are. You're here raising a son. Tell me about that. Tell me how you get through the other side of that and show up for your kid.
You know, he was my main reasoning behind everything. So I told you, 2017 I had a huge alcohol problem, suicidal thoughts, all that. Ended up leading to my divorce, losing my family, losing my house, losing my American dream per se, But it also taught me what's important in my life, and that's him. Like, for sure, that's him. That's my mental health. That's being a good person, a good dad, a good friend, getting rid of all that toxic, thing when you're struggling like that, and you say those words, I need help. It's also important who you surround yourself with, because I said those words plenty of times, and then those guys were like, all right, let's go to the bar and get shit-faced, right. So you got to drop those guys from your life.
Some people mean, and that's the thing too, some people mean well, and they think that that's what it means to show up, but what a lot of people don't realize, how alcohol arrests your development. It arrests your emotional development. That's why you were saying, like, guys wake up and they're 40 years old and then emotionally 19. Yeah. I'm coming up on, I'm getting up there.
You're old as hell, like, Tommy. You're old, man.
I'm old, bro. I'm
already there. So
yeah, but it's like, I had a wake up. I've been sober for 11 years, so I got like 27 hit me like a ton of bricks. Like, I was supposed to be part of that club. I was supposed to live. Yeah. I didn't want to. I wanted to drink myself to death. I lost a child, and that brought me to my knees. It brought me to dereliction and homelessness, but it also gave me the gift of desperation. And so, it's like, sometimes it's a gift. Sometimes we have to get, no matter how far down the scale we've gone, we will see how our experience will benefit others, is something they say in recovery. And that's been like, it's why Anthony Hopkins said this to me once. It's a cool story. And I spoke at this thing, and he happened to be there, and we met, and I now know him, and he's like, he said the craziest shit. He was like, the scar tissue of my soul is the strength of my life. And I was like, what the fuck does that mean? And I started thinking about it, and it's like, the things that we survive mentally, physically, emotionally, they become like galvanized steel. And that's why your family, when you decide to make a change, you galvanize yourself. When you decide, every decision that you make on a daily basis galvanizes you, because we are the pillars. Yeah. We're the ones who hold everybody up. We're the ones who hold up our families. We're the ones that show up in our communities. We're the ones that have to be the voice. We're the ones that have to take the arrows. And if you're like that, you just know who you are. You kind of always knew. And that's a tough burden. It's a cross, but we carry it together. And that's the thing. It's okay to carry it together.
One thing that Matt and Aaron and I also talk about a lot, that it doesn't really get talked about a lot with male mental health, is the divorce rate. And not only the divorce rate, people who stick together that probably shouldn't be together and then traumatize their child. Matt, Aaron, and I all both have our own daddy issues, grown ass men. And, and it's like, we talk about that a lot, and it's weird too, because, you see guys like Matt, who's like this strong guy, he raising his kid, doing a really good job. And you come from, you know, my dad's a great dude, man, but he's a weak guy, man. He's an alcoholic. He, you know, he beat my mom. He, you know, he had his own fucking issues coming back from Vietnam. And I don't want to call him weak, but he's on his own. Like, he's got his own stuff going on. And he probably was in no position to raise a kid. So I was raised by a single mom who had a kid when she was 16, dude. Like, she didn't know what the fuck she was doing, you know. And I've grown my whole life having some kind of resentment towards my parents, but they didn't fucking know any better, you know. But we don't talk about that enough in America either, because the divorce rate's continually getting higher. It's high as shit right now.
Well, I mean, it's not even cool to make your relationship work anymore, in like in liberal society, you know. You know, I came from an alcoholic family, and my father was sober and a Vietnam veteran, and my dad picked up a bottle when I was about 13 or 14, and it was over. It was a wrap. And then everything, you know, I had already had a brother who was mentally institutionalized since we were all 10 years old for severe mental health issues. So that combination, then my dad got drunk, and then my mom ran, you know, and it just is what it is. You know, it's like and I look at my life, and I started out. A lot of people don't know this about me. I started out, I was abandoned in the hospital. My twin brother and I, my mother was a crackhead. I'm a crack baby. She left us. And then a couple weeks later, we got adopted into a family, and my mom was a stay-at-home mom. My dad was a Vietnam vet, and he was a janitor, but they made it work. And my brother started to, we're fraternal twins, and I think he inherited my birth mother's mental health issues. Yeah. We both inherited the addiction genes. And, you know, so when we started doing drugs at like 13 or 14, it was a wrap. Yep. So I got brought to my knees. You know, I drank and drank and drank. I did hallucinogens, but once cocaine was introduced, it was like about 4 years till I was like almost dead. Yep. And you know, this is what I look at, how I look at my parents today. And, you know, the road to hell is paved with good intentions, and people want to do good. They don't know what they're doing. Most people don't know what they're doing, you know, and if they did, Google wouldn't be a $1 trillion company, because nobody knows what's going on. We're all trying to figure it out. And the less that we communicate, and the less, you know, if you don't have a structure and a community where you can trust people, because how do you there's no handbook. How do you raise a kid? How do you adopt kids? How do you do this? You know, and this happened in the 80s. And so, you know, when I look back, I had a lot of resentments when I came into recovery, and I had to work those things out. And what you know, compassion and understanding is they did the best they could with the tools they have. Yep. And their tools were not many. Yeah. And then something really brilliant happened for me. By affording my parents that compassion, all of a sudden I was allowed to make mistakes. Right. Because we don't allow ourselves to fuck up.
Right. Gotta be perfect.
Yeah. Because we become the critical parent of selves, where our parents failed to critique us in a healthy way. And so now if I make a mistake, I give myself 3 mistakes a day. And if I make a 4th one, I start at 1. And it's not the end of the world. Yeah. And it releases some of that burden of like, if I don't do this, you know, it's gotta be like, if everyone's counting on me, if then fuck.
I think especially as military guys, I mean, how fucking relatable that is. Like, you know, I had a situation, we did everything yesterday, and I had like, I gotta get A done, gotta get B done. Soon as B's done, get C done. Soon as C's done, get D's done. And then I go to sleep. It's not C, take a rest, then do D. Once A through D is done, then I sleep. And I didn't take time yesterday to value somebody in my life, and because of that led to an argument or whatever. And it's like, you know, I had to talk to a friend and go, dude, I kind of lost my shit, and I don't think there's any coming back from how I just behaved. Like, it makes me feel like I should be better than that, and why did I let that happen? And when I take a step back to look at the situation, now I'm able to go back to that person and do what we call a 10th step and go, hey, here's what came up for me, and this is why I reacted the way I did. Doesn't excuse my behavior, and it's something I need to work on, but I'm very regimented, and this all needs to get done, and then I will give you my attention, you know?
Yeah, that's what I need, because my anger's through the roof, man.
Yeah. And we're going to get to that. So
it's through the roof.
a thing that is, like, I can imagine, I know for me personally, and it's like it's a trip to me to think where my life was 2 years ago and where it is today. And when people message me and tell me, dude, thank you guys for the podcast, everything you guys do, you've saved me from this and my divorce and my kids, and what do you just hearing you and Tommy talk about this shit openly helps so much. And I am 100% positive you guys have all got some kind of message like that, right?
Yep.
Now, the messages I don't respond to is like, hey, where's your favorite place to go get a burger, and do you want to hang out on a Friday? Nah, I don't, dude, But when people send shit like that, it's like appreciative, right?
Yep.
So before I get into, of course, drugs and alcohol is the fucking numbing agent. That's what we go to when shit hurts. So we've all found other outlets, and I want to get into that. But before that, somebody left me a voice message, and I want to play that, and then I want to answer what this guy said. So let me play this for you.
Hey Shane, Tommy, big fan. Love the podcast, guys. Please keep it up. It's good to hear people with some like-minded values. I remember you guys were talking about suicide the other day, and well, I just got out of the Marine Corps back in April, and I can't help but feel just alone all the time. Like my life doesn't matter. I'm not making a difference anymore. I'm not deploying. I'm not doing anything. I just work all day, and I could just really use some help. And any advice you guys have, I really appreciate it. You guys have a good one. Please.
I mean, I don't know about
sure
you, dude, but
everybody
that
has something
shit
to
gives
say
me
about
chills,
Yeah,
So,
I mean, it's emotional. It's very emotional.
Let's let the Marine hop on first for that one.
yeah.
Yeah, that was
First
tough.
of all, thank you for your service and welcome home, troop.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, so him and I got out the same time, April. And a lot of the things that he just said resonates with me because I joined the Marine Corps right after college because I had one of two options: I either go back home and get a normal job because I couldn't do shit with the degree that I had, or do something that my father can finally be like, okay, my son does this. Because growing up, it was football. Mm-hmm. If I didn't play football, if I wasn't the fastest on track, I would look in the stands and my dad was like not the happiest person. So me making him proud was like the forefront of everything that I did in life. Mm-hmm. So coming up on the end of college, I was like, what can I do that no matter what happens, I die tomorrow or I die 4 years from now, my parents are going to be able to say something with pride, like my son did this, my son was able to accomplish that. Join the fucking Marine Corps. You know what I mean? So I enlisted, I joined, 4 years, machine gunner, did absolutely fucking nothing.
Hey, you went to Japan?
Yo, Japan's dope, bro.
But again, I mean, it's.
I
Would
did
you go to
nothing.
Okinawa?
Yeah.
My dad was stationed there.
I did nothing. And all of my friends back home, one of my best friends, Pat Conahan, was a sniper. This dude has done, some of the things that you guys can relate to. Crazy fucking dude. So these are the guys that I'm coming home hanging out with. They're talking about getting blown up by IEDs or dragging their friends to the LZ because, they lost a leg. And I'm just sitting there just like, yeah, I was in a combat simulator a couple days ago and the same thing happened to me.
But I'll be honest with you. I think, and I've seen studies on this, and I would say at least, I think it's 10% or 20% see combat.
It's
the other
less than
80%.
that.
Right. So I would say it's a solid 80-90% of guys that are getting benefits of PTSD. You know what their PTSD is? I don't have purpose anymore. I don't have camaraderie. I miss my brothers. I'm a gunner.
Yep.
There's no hostiles. There's no SOP. Where's all this terminology and the fucking Charlie Mike and 5 clicks and all this shit? I'm supposed to work at fucking Walmart now? I didn't deploy. I don't know what these guys, I didn't do enough. I'm not that fucking, and that's again our own alpha shit.
It's a terminal, I call it terminal not enoughness.
Yeah.
And it's like, we have this propensity to, and I did this is something that's plagued me my whole life, is measuring my insides to other people's outsides, and I mean, just going back to the voice note, having no purpose, it's a double-edged sword, because it may seem like there's like a like one thing that I learned to not engage in. We were talking about anger. anger is like the number one resentment for us, right? And it's the number one resentment is the number one offender, and if resentment is the number one offender, then self-pity is number two.
Right.
And so there is a morass of self-pity that stretches around us when we feel like we don't have a purpose, but it's a crossroads, and in those moments you have an opportunity to decide. Like when I stood on the platform and the train was coming and I was supposed to jump in front of it, and I had this kid on the phone, I didn't jump in front of the train, and I wanted to. I wasn't playing. I didn't tell anyone what I was doing. I stopped going to therapy. I put a suit out on my mother's spare in my mother's spare room. I put my suit to be buried in, and I got my affairs in order. And the train pulled in the station, and I got on the train, and I met that kid, and then I helped him get sober. He's still sober. So there's all these crossroads. You know, there was a time in my life where I could have made a decision to murder my brother instead of testifying against him. But as a sober adult and a God-fearing man, I did not have the right to take his life, even though he tried to take mine, and then hired someone to procure that to be done. And it's not easy, you know. It's not easy, and you know, life is gonna, you know, it's like you said, every fucking day is an opportunity. Sometimes I wake up in the morning, and I'm like, and I have a great life. I do, you know. Today is not a good day. Like you know, I'll be completely transparent. I have an ex-girlfriend who has surfaced and is trying to extort me for tens of thousands of dollars. I don't know, you know, it is what it is. And I gotta go. I pay an attorney, and they go to court. And you know, we're living in a this Me Too society where women are taking advantage of what's been done, and so I have to deal with this. And whether the judge is gonna decide whether I gotta pay the money or not, you know. But I still have to spend tens of thousands of dollars for an attorney, and that's today. And dude, it hurts me. You know, because I'm not even mad at this woman. This is someone who I loved. You know, this is someone who was in my life for a long time. And we had a volatile, toxic relationship, and it's over.
Been there.
And it's been over. But the thing is that with certain people, with some people's egos, you are not allowed, you don't like and my friend, I lost a friend over, my friend was murdered in February by an ex-boyfriend of from 9 years prior. Some people, when it's over, they don't let it be over.
Yeah.
And so this person is not physically capable of doing something like that to me. So they utilize the legal system and we see this all the time. Yep. It's a multi-million-dollar industry of just embezzling people over this shit. And it is what it is. And it's so it causes me to have, you know, negative thoughts and stress. But you got to manage it. And the thing is that every day I just wake up and I get on my knees, I pray, I ask for the strength to face the day. I ask for the strength to not be an asshole to the people who need me, because that's the first thing that everyone who's closest to me, I'm an asshole to when I'm stressed out. And I feel like I'm not, you know, but it's a delusion. Yeah. It's a delusion. Even the delusion, none of us are separate. As we live and breathe, we're literally breathing in oxygen and exchanging carbon dioxide with plants. And those plants are refiltering it, and all of us are recirculating. We're all connected.
Well, you know, tying in, man, like the ex-girlfriend story and the Marine who left the voicemail, man, a lot of that shit goes back mentally to it's called like a betrayal, so like a moral injury.
Yeah,
it's
betrayal trauma.
It's a moral injury, right? So for him getting out, and even the ex-girlfriend, they feel slighted in some way. So he's going through some shit right now, because when you put on a uniform or you put on something, you know, Tommy goes into the studio. They took the studio away from you, and you couldn't record for a year.
I went through that.
Yeah,
I left the music industry,
you know what I'm saying?
For my first year of recovery, and I had to that's the thing. That first year is like, when you take something away that is who you are, and that's who you've been, you have to do one of two things: replace it with something else, with another form of identification, or you have to get to the real who you actually are. But you have to decide.
Yeah.
I remember. Do you guys think the first year of ETS is the toughest transition?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, I recently just got out last January. Left my team 15 years. I could have gone another 5 years and retired, but that wasn't important to me. What was important to me was my mental health, my family, and my career, building myself another career here.
Yep.
I struggled daily. I mean, I would cry because I was so upset that I thought I was leaving my team, and these guys go overseas and one of them dies. I felt like that would haunt me for the rest of my life, and it probably will. But I will deal with that if that ever comes.
I mean, my guys, when I went to prison, were on another deployment, and I tried to be like, hey, just get me out of here, and I'll go on deployment, and just send me overseas. And they were like, fuck that, dude. You're going.
Absolutely.
And these guys deployed like 2 or 3 more times without me, and I felt that thing of like, man, I didn't do all the tours with these guys, and I know those experiences and the shitty nights and the shitty days and the cold and all that stuff, and I felt like I let them down, or that I wasn't good enough. I let drugs fucking overtake me and my actions, and I'm a soldier. I'm supposed to know better than that, and I didn't. So getting back to this, though, is like, so we've all experienced with numbing out with drugs and alcohol and everything. So what is it that you did personally to get out of that hell? I mean, Tommy and I are openly talk about being in the AA program and what we've done. Breath work has helped me immensely. Neurofeedback has been huge in my recovery. But what are some of the things that you guys have done personally to get out of that? And I think purpose. The number one thing that I heard him say there is I don't have purpose. Because if I don't have purpose today, I'm fucked. And purpose doesn't mean I got to own a company and I have to, it's like your purpose can be like, I help people, and I know that, and that's been a huge purpose for me. Tommy makes music and touches people and knows that, not touches them.
Not like Biden.
Not
like Joe Biden.
It was like,
But tell me some things that you guys, Matt, like what'd you do personally to kind of get back on there?
Yeah, I mean, you hit it with purpose. That was the first word that was going to come to my head. But I started my page and I started getting at it physically, working out. That's the biggest stress reliever for me, the biggest thing I need to help get mentally focused. I start my day off with a workout every day. That's my mission. I start my day with a workout every day. From there, I got the endorphins going. I feel great. As far as, when I was at my worst, at the bottom, my son was my purpose, my family, my nephews, nieces, it could be a friend's kid, being a role model for them. I wanted them to look at me and be like, I want to be that guy, or I want to be like him, or I want him in my life. You don't want to be that guy where people are like, I don't need this guy. I'm like, you want people to want you in your life because you want to be that role model for them. And like, I love what we're doing with Hard to Kill Fitness. And like, for him, like, you can reach out to us anytime, brother. Jump on Facebook if you have it, Instagram. We're a brotherhood. And
same thing here.
If you're not talking to us directly, our community will speak to you. Like, we get guys on our Facebook page. They'll ask us for advice, but sometimes we're busy and we can't get to it. The rest of the crew, all the guys will jump in. So just get back at it physically. Find that purpose. There's people in your life that need you, no matter what. All of us have someone that needs us, and
I know the physical drive can be tough. Like the military's like, it's 0-500, get the fuck up. It's time for PT, and it's like you can't say no. And then even when it's not regimented, you've already been into like, yo, this is how the day starts. Transition into civilian life, it's real easy to eat ice cream and Cheez-Its and let me binge watch Netflix. But it literally I just started running again. I hate it. It's not the same as it was in 2000, and I hate it. But I didn't just start flying out the gate, like I ran like a half mile, my front calves locked up so tight, and I was like, that's all I got. And again, I go like, man, you're such a pussy. Like, that's the best you got, right? This is that alpha shit in my head of like, I have to be perfect. But I had to start somewhere. Well, and I did
it's about placing unattainable expectations on ourselves, hoping that we're going to land somewhere in the area. But once the thing is unattainable, and it's like a day at a time.
Yeah,
it's a
fucking day at a time. But it's taking action too. Like I thought for the longest time, someone was just going to come knock on my door and go, dude, do you care if we pay you $2 million and you can just run our company? Like, are you busy? Do you have shit going on?
I still think that every day.
And I thought that for the longest time until I realized, like, it's on me to get up and do some shit. It's on me to start a podcast and find people to come on here. And, like, you have to take initiative. And if I fail, I fail. But at least I took a shot. I message people to come on the show, and they don't even leave me on red. And I want to call them and be like, hey, how about I fight you?
Dude,
right?
that's the
Because I
thing,
want
though,
to
like-
take it personal.
It was that
Yeah,
angry.
but one of the biggest problems with American, I think men and women, I think everyone is so concerned with the pursuit of happiness that they've lost the ability to find happiness within the pursuit. I don't have to wait till I go platinum to enjoy being on the stage that I'm on.
But that's that's social media, though, right? You think?
I think that I think social media. Well, social media is fake.
I get caught up in that shit all the time.
Yeah.
Dead ass serious, because like my podcast, like I think what was like top 50 in the U.S. I was top 113 countries, and I was like tracking that shit. Like I mean, that was like I would wake up and be like, I wonder where I'm at. Wonder where I'm at in Singapore today. And then I was like, dude, this shit doesn't matter. It doesn't even matter.
Have a copy of my platinum plaque.
That's nuts.
Other people who didn't even play on the record, or just friends of band members and stuff, and other people have it. Yeah,
That's
But
wild.
I don't even have it.
Why?
I don't know, because it's in somebody's garage. It's like in my old business manager's friend's garage. And I don't know where it is, and
That's fair.
but it's like you know, it's just like it is what it is. Like you know, it's when you're a homeless crackhead, and like. Just not living outside is sick. Like shit is sick, bro. Like
You just sent
yo,
it.
women, hot ass women want to have sex with me, and I'm just like, I don't know how much longer I can keep this up. Like you know what I mean? I'm like, I'm falling apart. I'm getting old. You know, I'm tired. I can't. You know.
I tell myself that every day,
I
dude.
talk to these kids out in the streets, you know, in LA, you know, as a cop. I talk to them, and you know, they want everything to be handed to them.
Yeah.
And I tell them, like, I grew up in the hood. I lived in a back house, you know, a single mother, was a bartender. I watched my sister till 3 a.m. sometimes for her because she was partying. Like, it is what it is, though, you know. I'm not going to hold that against her. But I tell these kids, all your parents need to give you is beans, food, that you put a roof over your head and clothes on your back. Everything else is up to you.
Yep.
Once you leave this house, when you go to school, it's up to you. Now, you know, your parents are going to do the best they can. Maybe they're not educated. Maybe they don't have money. You know, it doesn't mean that you
And then
can't
when
be
you join the
successful.
military,
there is
your
a
platoon
difference,
sergeant
though,
will tell you the same
because-
thing.
Yeah.
It's interesting because back to social media, kids watch people become millionaires on YouTube and on Instagram.
Because
I would say, do you know how upset my
they don't
dances
do
in TikTok
anything.
haven't taken off yet? I'm 32.
Dude, I don't use
stuff blows
TikTok.
my
I
mind.
dance, bro.
TikTok-
I don't dance.
But it's not. I mean, that's the thing. Is like a kid cups a fart and puts it in his friend's face, and it gets 6,000 million views, 6 million thousand views.
But
and
it's
the
a
kid's a
new
millionaire.
it's a new drug. It's a
Oh, yeah.
drug, and we're chasing dopamine hits. And what people don't
100%.
realize is that the designers of these apps literally are the same people that programmed and innovated the slot machine, the most addictive slot machines in Vegas. This is the mentality. How do I keep you engaged?
Yeah.
How do I keep and then what do you do? How much does this person have? But I don't have this. And then, you know, and it becomes this culture of like, I don't have to actually do anything physical to be somebody.
Yeah.
You know.
And that's the thing. It's like, what's the measure of a man's success? You know, I think that's like you said. If
I
like,
think it's
always my
Happiness,
insides,
yeah.
my insides need to match your outsides.
But
I
I
think
see-
that's huge.
It is, but see, success though I think is internal, right? That because everyone's value of success is going to be different.
Exactly.
Like when you look at it, like I mean, I look at other people and I'm like, nah, I would never want to be any of you guys ever because that's just
That's the first thing I thought when I met you.
Yeah, well I know, yeah.
But that's
we're
a
gonna go
good,
outside,
that's a
Shane.
good thing
It's gonna be
because
fun.
it means you want to be who you are.
Right.
Yeah. But the problem is that most people don't want to be who they are. You know what I mean? You know how hard it is for people to look in the fucking mirror? Dead serious.
I think until I realized like my happiness came from within inside, and like, am I, like you said, am I being a good person, and am I doing things differently and using what I can do for good instead of evil, right? Like it's that simple. I don't manipulate anymore. I don't do shit because I see, you know, I'm seeking out what can I get from this one person. Oh, cool, right? It's like I'm trying to be a better person every day, and I think it's okay to, like, I watch Matt's shit and I go like, that motivates me to be like, man, this dude goes so hard with workouts. Watching the shooting drills, I'm like, yo, I miss that shit. And like, just because people watch the fucking UFC or because you play Call of Duty and you think you're ready for the apocalypse, like, that's real training. Him falling is real life situations. You know what I'm saying? And I watch that kind of shit and I don't go, man, that's it. When I reach that level, I'll finally be a man. But I can watch it and go, man, it's cool that I get to see someone doing that. It inspires me to kind of do some other shit. And I think that's the difference of, you know, being inspired or measuring that I got to be better than him, or I got to do this better. Like even with your team and the guys that you're shooting with, it's the reason it works is because it's not a dick measuring contest. Look how many targets I hit. It's, hey, I missed one. I need you guys to help me correct where I went wrong with that. And it's not, you know, oh, you suck and all that, like kid shit, man. It's like real brotherhood and real camaraderie and supporting the next guy. And I have guys like Tommy and people in my life, like you said, water seeks its own level. So the people I'm keeping around me right now aren't the ones that think going and with good intentions think, let's go out drinking to, you know, get over this chick. Though it's the ones that are like, you know, look, man, I've been through it. I've been this and that. Let's go get dinner. You know, let's go fucking lift weights. Let's go to the beach. We went to the beach yesterday, just you and I, and kicked it and like just took in the fucking pink sunset, dude.
Amazing,
like,
dude.
you ever told me I'd be in California with another dude, a black dude at that, and we'd be taking in a fucking pink sunset? Yeah, well, if you watch a podcast, you'll see that I had some issues with race once upon a time.
We were like past the second break.
I can't even say it.
just
I'm not
like,
even gonna say what I want to say.
good.
Dude.
But it was great, man, and it's like that's the kind of shit that we need.
But that's like, I mean, that's the beauty of like, you know, that's life.
That's human,
You know,
yeah.
I went to the Cove in La Jolla. Like I went to San Diego and I was like hanging out with a girlfriend, and we've been so in the house and so fucking terrified and masks and I left LA. I've lived in LA for on and off for 14 years. I just bailed, and I just went south, and I'm like, I'm deciding whether I'm going to stay in California. And you know, I went to the beach, and there were probably 10,000 people at the beach.
Yeah.
Just
Everybody
living
was
life.
splashing. People were kissing. And nobody was social distancing. Nobody was wearing masks. Nobody was sick. People were surfing, and everyone was just having a great time. And like, we went out, like we went out and swam out to like about where you could stand, to almost where you couldn't stand anymore. And I turned around and I was like, this is what it is. This is what America is. This is what you guys fought to protect. This is what my grandfather, or my father, or my uncle, or my cousin fought to protect. This is why I go on stage. This is why I take risks saying the truth. And I don't give a shit if it costs me everything, because that's within me, you know? And this is what we have to protect. Like this life that we have and this freedom that we have, I don't want that to go away, right? Because if it's already difficult in the way that we are now, being as free as we are, what is it going to be like when these things start getting taken away?
Yeah, I have a tough time with that. I've been looking at houses in Belize though, and Italy. He knows. I don't know, man. The way things are going here.
Might as well look in China. They're raving it up right now.
Yeah. Go to Wuhan.
Yeah, but Belize is the spot,
Airbnb in
man. But
Wuhan.
I've been looking in Italy. I don't know, man. It's weird. You know, I mean, it's weird because I'm in a different part of the country. Kansas City is not like what y'all deal with. Like we're chill. We had like one protest, and it was like, nah, that shit's dumb. Let's get back to doing what we're doing.
You're
in Portland.
You're in a trade spot?
Yeah, exactly.
you're in Portland?
He's in
Oh my
Portland,
God,
and I'm over here in Kansas City. Like, nah,
Yeah,
this is-
Kayla's up there too. We had Kayla Manthe on the show like a month or two ago, and she
Yeah.
lives right north of Portland, and it's just crazy up there.
But what you said, brother, like sitting out there in the water, like I do this day. This is part of my therapy. It's something I came up with my therapist, is that I needed the ocean or water. So I love to get out there. I sit on my board. I just look back, and yeah, I am so thankful that I had the opportunity to fight for every single person's freedom. That kid playing there, the guy there, the homeless guy. Who cares, you know? Like, and that just comes down to like what you said. You know, you're on the beach, is taking it in sometimes. And I think for mental health, sometimes you just got to put the phone down and just enjoy the moment.
We're so fucking
You know?
locked in.
Like even sitting here right
locked in.
with you guys, like I'm humbled. Like this,
Yeah.
I'm thankful. You know, like to be surrounded with such.
Yeah,
good
there's
people.
no cell phones during
Yeah.
the.
But
I
I'm-
used to go to the movies by myself, so no one could get a hold of me. It's the only place where you were socially acceptable to not have your phone.
We were talking about that the other day, dude. Yeah, because I do that. I still go to the movies by my. Well, I used to.
I mean,
before
when?
that was
Nerd.
before COVID came. But yeah, I go to the movies by myself all the time, man, just to get away from people, man. I'm telling you, doesn't Neuralink drop? Do you guys know what Neuralink is? The Tesla shit, Elon Musk stuff.
Dude, if you
Oh,
start
yeah,
talking
yeah.
about Q shields, I gotta go.
All right, I'm just letting you know it's dropping this month.
that like Doc-
So
What is the Neuralink?
man, it was bought. It's a chip bought from a doctor, Randy Nudo, and Elon's turned it into. It's gonna cure to begin with if you have a stroke, right, and you lose, say, like a certain percentage of mobility in one side of your body. This will basically wire into electrons in your brain and bring that movement back. And
How's
cure
it work with ED?
I mean, it'll be able to fix everything eventually. But what he's thinking is 5 to 10 years, it will it'll start replacing cell phones and language.
Language.
Mm-hmm. So if you're thinking about having a cheeseburger, you
telepathically,
can chip to chip, bro.
People don't want to hear my fucking thoughts. I'll tell you
Yeah, but that's it. So it's
I know. Like, imagine that. Like, I don't even want anyone seeing my goddamn search engine. Like,
Yeah.
let alone what I'm thinking about. Like,
that's why you'll catch me.
phone.
That's why you'll catch me in Belize, dude. I'm telling you.
Look like Minority Report.
I'll have a ice cream shop full of rifles in the back.
And again, so I don't know if it comes with age too. You know what? I have a tough demographic when I'm working with kids that are between 19 and 25, because when I was 23, 24, 22, like, you couldn't tell me shit, dude. You couldn't tell me shit. You literally haven't walked in my shoes. I don't give a fuck if you walked in similar ones. Fucking beat it. And I wasn't ready. You know what I mean? And it's I don't know. Sometimes I go to them where I go, I get it, man. I hope you don't die. And if you don't die when you're ready, I got you, you know? But I think
that's
coming
the
with
best thing you can do, I think, though.
Yeah. But like coming with age, right? Now, when I started talking to you guys online, it's like very rarely have I ran into military guys where it's not just like we've already known each other for years. And we hung out yesterday, everything was a cool vibe. And through knowing Tommy and the people that we know and that I've met through the program and through life is like, at one point in time, it wasn't possible for me to be in here and be open and honest and kicking it with two guys of color, a law enforcement officer, you know, and an ex-con. This is like the start of a bad joke. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, when you get past that and the thing of like, are you a good person? My whole thing now is all energy related. It doesn't matter. I don't see your skin. I don't see what you do for work. I don't see where you've been. It's who are you right now? And what are you bringing? Like, if you're negative or bringing that dumb shit to my life, I just don't have time for it, dude. I got the T-shirts, I got the keychains. Don't talk to me about prison or how tough you are. What gang? I get it, man. I got all those T-shirts. How do you fucking buy a house? What's your credit score? You know, how do I make sure my girlfriend knows that I love her? How do I take care of my dog? Right? Like, these are things that are important to me now, and I think at some point, does that just come with growing up, or when do these things change for me? I don't really know, but at some point, I got tired, man. Yeah. I got tired of living the way I was. I got tired of being this fucking American outlaw that, like, it's not fucking, 1870. There's no swords and fucking muskets, you know?
I think it does come with age, too, though. But, like, when I got divorced, right, I came back, third deployment, just got back from Afghanistan. She was leaving me. We were sitting in the kitchen in Alaska. And, bro, I looked at her straight, did not give a shit that she was leaving at all. Didn't care. I was sad. I was crying, but I didn't care. I was scared. And I looked at her dead in the face, and I was like, hey, can you write down what bills we have, how much they are, and when they're due? Because I was 23 years old and never paid a bill in my life. She had paid everything. So, and then fast forward, now I'm like 32, but I just had someone come over the other day. I was telling this story. They were like, I got like this brick loft, and they were walking by my bedroom, and they took a picture, and I was like, the fuck? And I was like, what are you doing? They were like, oh, I'm so sorry. This is the first guy's bedroom I've ever been in that, like, you have like paintings and like your bed's not pushed in the corner and there's no flag. And I was like, oh shit,
on milk crates.
Oh
Like
shit,
yeah.
And they were like, you got throw pillows and shit. And they were like, this is classy. I was like, oh, thanks, dude.
She was a stripper, wasn't she?
Is this from Anthropology?
Yeah. So I was like, damn, so it really but I think it comes with age, man. I think everything does, but it's just.
Well, it's respect.
It's
like
respect.
when you respect your environment.
Yep.
When you respect yourself, you respect your environment.
Yep.
You learn that, and I make the bed every morning.
Right.
Like, not because of fucking rehab. You know what I mean? Like,
it honestly makes you feel better though when you come into your room and it's like squared away compared to when it's a mess. It's like I feel like that's what says about you. If your room's a mess, your fucking head's gonna be a mess the whole day. Your room's squared away, you're gonna be squared away. Even if it's squared away chaos, which is what my bathroom kind of is at times. And thank God my girl comes in and square away.
It's like kind of sort of
Squares.
But fuck, what was I gonna say? Oh, I think if you guys can relate to this too, of like what you were saying about with not caring, I think I deal with this too, where if I get into something with my girlfriend, immediately it's like, good, leave. I don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
Right.
That's
A week later, oh my God,
shit, dude.
right? Where they are immediately oh my God, what's going? And they are like dealing with it and need to process it right
Oh, yeah,
away.
they
And
don't-
we
they don't-
have that like, nope,
Well,
I don't
that's-
give a fuck. And then
Yeah,
a
we
week
have
later,
a
you're going,
we have a delayed
what did I do?
reaction. Yeah. It takes, I definitely relate to it. But some people don't. I don't know if that's a gender thing. I think it might be a trauma thing. I think that when bad news is presented, you're like, I'm scared, and it shows up as I don't care. And then once the dust settles, it's same thing with me. Like being in the situation where which drove me to attempt suicide. I was like, I got this,
Right.
and it's like, no, you don't. Just wait.
Well, trauma, like with us, right? Everybody in this room has been through shit that normal people haven't been through. So for a normal individual, you know how hard it is for me to relate to a normal person? Like if I hurt a female and, she's from like most of the girls I date are like 10s and they're from like millionaire white collar families. You know what I'm saying?
Good
That's
job.
what I do. That's what I try to do.
All right.
And he knows
You
I'm
heard
telling
it
you.
here first.
Hey,
It's,
Shane knows I'm telling you.
Thomas has a
we're out there.
plan.
We're out there getting coffee, man. He's like, "Yo, who's that girl on your Instagram, dude? I saw that." But
I wonder if we're Eskimo brothers.
But he's like,
Somebody's
but
gonna get mad
straight
seeing
up
this.
though. But you
man.
look at stuff like that.
Whoopsie-daisy.
You look at things like that, and for them, a normal fucking thing hurts their feelings. And you look at it, and you've been through some shit, and you're like,
Yeah.
that was fucking nuts. What are you like? Are you serious? Like that's nothing. That's like
Yeah.
I
has a
think
lot
it
to do
was-
with how you grew
Grew
up
up.
and like what you went through. Like, yeah, my dad used to beat the shit out of my mom. My dad would go in and out of jail. Mom would tell me he's in Mexico, and I got used to just being like, I don't care if he's here. I don't care if he's here. I don't care if you're divorced. I don't care if he's in jail. I don't care if I go to Afghanistan and die. Like, I don't care. I don't care attitude, and now I do care.
Yeah.
I care. And like you say, we have that delayed reaction because sometimes we're a little too, it just is what it is. We're programmed that way. But, the fact that we can realize it and come back later and be like, all right, you did this. This is how it made me feel, blah, blah, blah. Like these are things that we've developed over
It's
time.
communication where we perceived it one time as like, don't show weakness. It's not weakness. It's communicating with someone you give a fuck about.
if you haven't been raised to have proper communication too, that's hard.
Right.
Yeah, there's also like being vulnerable is not a 4-letter word. Like it's just a state of being open.
Right.
You're like, I'm vulnerable to attack because I am putting it out there, as opposed to blocking off any possible way, But what happens is when I put up fences, I'm by myself in the fencing.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, sick.
Right.
I build my own prison. I'm like, oh, nobody can get in here. And then I'm like, nobody's in here. But shit.
Well, that's that whole like, get the fuck away from me. Why aren't you talking to me?
Yeah.
Get away from me, but why aren't you next to me? It was funny yesterday when they were doing this slow shot, and they were like, all right, everyone, and everyone's laughing, like, turn it off. And like the four of us are like this, just done, where other people are like, I'm trying not to laugh. And it's like that internal switch of shut it off, turn it on, shut it off, turn it on. And when you learn to embrace that and balance it and know that you don't have to keep it on all the time. And I think that was another thing along with purpose and dealing with this mental health thing, is knowing that I can turn that switch on if I need to, but I don't need to turn it on to go to Starbucks when I leave here.
Right.
And that's the
exhausting.
difference, because it's exhausting. People are afraid of me. Nobody wants to be around me because I'm a liability, and I don't want to be that.
Either.
It's
right.
It
It
is-
is. Take my son to the park. I don't want to be on. I need to be off.
Right.
Yeah,
for
you're
my
not
kid.
it's not a combat zone.
Right. But I think a lot of guys struggle with when and where and how to turn that off. So when you can learn to control that coming back to civilian life, I think that's a huge component.
Better ass tries to grab my son, then I turn it on.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Then everybody needs to turn it on. That's why.
Well,
Yeah.
we got we doing part 2? Everyone in? Yeah. All right. Thank you guys for tuning in. I'm not gonna run through the fucking handles and shit because we'll do that in part 2. But you can find everything you need on deviantgentlemen.com, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Deviant Gentlemen Podcast. You can find these guys at Hard to Kill Fitness, and we'll give you more of the information. Stick around, and we'll give you part 2 next week. Thanks, guys.